The late 1970s had seen the triumph of Marxist governments in Nicaragua and Angola. The U.S. had been humiliated by the outcome of the Vietnam War, and the Soviets were secure in their mission to conquer Afghanistan. Also, Islamic fundamentalists had come to power in Iran and captured 52 embassy hostages, which Jimmy Carter easily passed over.
As a result, Ronald Reagan, our first conservative president in 50 years, had a large task of making administrative policies when the nation was in debt with the greatest recession in our country since the Great Depression. To do this, he is working his hardest to introduce many different policies and ideas that are shaping our new era.
With the Cold War continuing for over 35 years, President Reagan has taken it upon himself to end the war and create good relations with the people of Russia. With acts such as the Reagan Doctrine, the popular president is displaying his attempts to finally end the long war. In addition to the attempts at ending the war, conservatism has begun to take over American politics and beliefs. People in the Conservative Party oppose big government, gun control, abortion, and feminism. Their beliefs go hand in hand with the religious revival due to religious leaders being strongly against abortion and advocating for laws against it. The rise of conservatism may be one of the biggest influence in the time of the Reagan administration.
Another characteristic of Ronald Reagan is his conservative feelings, which are leading to the deregulation of our business and industry. Reagan is wanting to loosen regulation of our business, industry, and government in general because of the national debt. Reagan believes there is a direct link between government regulation and government spending. So, by reducing regulation, he can hopefully keep the federal spending in check. Another important part of Reagan's policy is something new called Reaganomics. Despite the fact that Reaganomics is a fun word to say, there are still some important policies. The main theme of Reaganomics is yet again government deregulation. This includes widespread tax cuts, decreased social spending, and military spending. All of these things and ideas are proving to be controversial, and some even successful.
Over his campaign of 1980, Ronald Reagan promised a way to fix the nation's economic failure, Reaganomics.
He said undue tax burden, massive social spending, overpowering government regulations hurt the growth of the nation.
He proposed a 30% tax cut for his first 3 years of his presidency. His tax cuts would be focused on upper income levels. The theory behind this plan was called trickle-down economics. This tax relief for the rich would enable them to spend and invest more. This new spending would stimulate the economy and create new jobs.
The results of his plan were mixed. In the beginning, the Federal Reserve Board believed his tax cut would reignite the inflation, and raise the interest rates.
That sparked a deep recession in 1981 and 1982. The high interest led to export decreasing and imports increasing.
Overall, the national debt tripled from $1 to $3 trillion.
Speaking of his economy and spending techniques, hasn't he decided to increase military spending?
Yes, before Reagan, the military was plagued with low morale, very low pay, outdated equipment, and no maintenance on what did exist.
So what did Reagan do?
One thing he is doing is working with Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger to build up a massive military to wear down the Soviets in the final years of the Cold War. He received the B-1 bomber program and began the production of the MX Peacekeeper missile.
Didn't he also propose the Strategic Defense Initiative, a system intended to make the U.S. not vulnerable to the nuclear missile attacks by the Soviet Union?
Yes, that is true, and I believe that it is all the time we have for our news report today. I hope you enjoy this next commercial.
Welcome to our commercial segment. Sensation Jane Fonda has recently released her commercial debut talking about her workout videos.
Jane Fonda, the woman with the workout and the workout that makes the woman.
She is truly experienced. She taught her own dance class at age 15 with only 3 easy payments of $19.95. You can have the two-step workout of the century.
She is sincerely one with the people. In previous years, she has protested against the Vietnam War, and she supported the Native Americans who took over Alcatraz.
Yes, she is really an observant political commentator. She is very supportive of the Black Panther movement. I recall her saying, "Our revolutionary vanguard, we must support them with love, money, propaganda, and risk."
Don't forget, she is also involved in the feminist movement.
Oh yes, she really has her eyes wide open to our political times.
And now, to the graceful, amazing, elegant, perfect, stunning, and truly awe-inspiring workout video.
It's Fonda. It's fun. It's free. You get 3 intensity levels for the price of 2 with Jane Fonda's new step aerobic and abdominal workout.
Step aerobics are a great way to tone and trim the lower body and get fit, burn fat calories, and have fun too.
Call toll-free now To order Jane Fonda's new step aerobic workout, including free intensity level, call 1-800-257-1234.
Hello, everyone. I'm with someone you might know very well, my man, Ronald Reagan.
Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the rise of conservatism and communism. Some may be confused on the differences and conflicts between these two ideal faces.
So my first question for you, President Reagan, how do you believe freedom is related to conservatism?
Yes, I believe freedom is related to conservatism. I see freedom as not simply a God-given right, but as a success, but as the successes of America. As I once stated, is man born free or slave?
It's very interesting. And I've heard that you are anti-government, which is part of your conservative philosophy. Is that true?
It is sort of true. As I stated in my first inaugural, is it not my intention to do away with government? I was anti-big government. I don't want unnecessary government, intrusive government, or overly burdensome government.
I've also heard you're very optimistic. Is that true?
Yes, I am. I still believe in my heart that we will win the Cold War, and I like to have a forward-thinking optimism in regards to American heritage and the idea of American exceptionalism.
Now, what is your views on communism?
I am highly against communism. That is why I'm trying to contain it through my policies of peace through strength. From my first week in office, I was against the Soviet Union and especially communism, and I believe the United States need to put all of its strength together to contain it.
Now, is that why you began spending money to defeat communism?
Yes, exactly. I'm pouring money into America's armed forces because the Russians were also having military surplus, but with no real economic power behind it. Later on, I'm going to try to get Russia and the Soviet Union to realize that their system is incompetent, and ours isn't.
That's very interesting. Thank you so much for coming in today.
You're welcome.
Hey, my totally tubular dudes. It's like no duh that the youth in this decade are obsessed with MTV, a pop culture phenomenon. Without its music videos 24/7, life would be grody to the max. Anyways, check out this gnarly commercial about MTV.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
I want my MTV.
I want my MTV.
Call your cable company and say, I want my MTV.
Turn it on. Leave it on. America, see the music you want to see.
I want my MTV. All right.
I want my MTV.
I want my MTV. Ow!
24 hours a day on cable TV.
I want my MTV, MTV, MTV! Yeah, too much is never enough.
So as you can see,
Bag your face, Josh.
what does that even mean?
You don't get teen slang? Gag me with a spoon. Anyways, I got a motor. I need to get home in time to watch the premiere of Michael Jackson's new Thriller music video. It looks radical.
Okay.
Breaking news, President Ronald Reagan has implemented his new policies to deregulate businesses.
Reagan has reduced restrictions on savings and loan institutions, believing it will help the economy.
Yes, helping the economy by taking environmental regulations, as well as deregulating the auto industry to allow them to skew on auto safety and emissions.
Well, I heard that the Secretary of Interior, James Watt, has opened federal lands for increasing coal and timber production.
He has also allowed offshore drilling on the coast.
The American conservative base is really applauding President Reagan for scaling back on Nixon-era regulations.
I know Reagan has backed up all of his deregulation by claiming it would allow more of a free market economy.
Yes, he believes that tax cuts and deregulation will create economic growth.
Well, hopefully we'll see that economic growth.
I know. And now to the sports report.
Our sports report today also involves politics, specifically the United States' opposition to communism. In response to the Soviet military involvement in Afghanistan, the U.S. has decided to boycott the 1980 Olympics. Their invasion could possibly revive the Cold War. Therefore, the U.S. is using a peaceful form of protest against these actions using sports. However, this also affects the athletes. Let's go to a clip on some of their thoughts.
Scorer Jim, just one of many people who, as we've mentioned a couple of times tonight, very deeply affected by the U.S. boycott of the Moscow Olympics. It's a very tough position these young people are in. They have been training for this all their lives, yet they do indeed have a patriotic duty, and in fact, some of them are a little young for this to come to them. Here's some opinions on the boycott.
The fact that we're not going to the Olympics hasn't really deterred my training. I've made sure that I think through this Olympic Games and hope to prepare for another one, so it hasn't affected me too much. But I know for some of the other athletes it's been very difficult to train for this, knowing that we will not be going to the Olympic Games.
Well, it's really hard for me to accept the boycott, I guess because I'm selfish, because I've been training for it. But I guess our president felt this was the best thing for us to do, so we have to follow him.
The Olympic boycott has kind of hindered my performance in a way that when it first was announced, I was kind of really disappointed because the Olympics was my last opportunity to compete in a big major meet. And so it has hindered my performance to a sense, but this last meet, or this last month, I've got motivated quite a bit because I realized I want to go out being in the top 6.
Well, I'm very disappointed, but I feel that it's probably the only thing that our country can do as a unit. And I'm very upset with what the Russians did, and I'm sorry that we have to look like the bad ones.
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to watch this news broadcast. Today we discussed how Reaganomics shaped the 1980s society. Jane Fonda's workout video spread into the society, how the U.S. opposition to communism affected everyday life, even sports, and Reagan's views on communism, deregulation, and military spending. Thank you so much for coming. See you tomorrow at 6.
Alrighty.